where healthy meets delicious. So today I'm making a vegan Jello. Yes, it's possible to make a Jello that is completely plant-based ingredients, no gelatin. So the magic ingredient here is agar. This is actually a sea vegetable too. And if you've been watching me, you know that I love sea vegetables. I'm all about the sea veggies and all the great minerals they provide for our body. So this is just a really great way to incorporate sea vegetables in a tasty dessert. Why not? So what I have here, this is a Jello that I made ahead of time, just so you can see that yes, it does indeed get nice and firm, just like Jello. So this is with apples and with some grapes, and I'm just gonna do a little flipperoo here onto a plate just so you can see that it does indeed hold its shape. I might need to use a knife to kind of scoot around the edge, but in a moment, I'll show you how easy it is to make this too. So you might be wondering where to get agar powder and this sea vegetable. I did buy this on Amazon. So that's the great thing about Amazon is that we can, if we can't find it in our local stores, we can often just get it on Amazon. All right, come on out of there, you. Of course, it's having a little trouble getting out right now, but let's see. Let's just give it another little, there we go. All right, there we go. So now you can see it holds its shape perfectly, and you have, you can use any kind of juice that you'd like to use. You can use like cherry juice. I used apple juice just so it would be clear so that you'd see the fruits in there, which I thought would be fun. But you can use other types of juice, whatever juice you want. But I like to use pure fruit juice. That way we're avoiding sugar. It's just sweetened with the fruit juice and the fruit. If you do want it a little bit sweeter, of course, you could add sweetener of your choice, agave nectar, maple syrup, raw sugar or something. But I find I just like it with the taste of the fruit juice. That's up to you and your taste buds. All right, so let me show you how to make this. And by the way, I just wanted to show you just a variety of just different glasses. Of course, you can make it different shapes. You can make it fun little, you can put it in a more of a square shape and then cut it into little squares. You can make round shapes. You can just serve it in like a little fancy, crystal or something like that. So that's really up to you. And the combination of fruits I have here are some chopped apple with red skin. I like to leave the skin on because it just adds a nice pretty color. And then I've got some sliced grapes, and I even have some fresh figs. So I thought that would be a fun combination. And I've got my pure apple juice here. I'm just making a mini batch for you. Of course, depending on the size of your family, you'll probably want to double this recipe. But this is 3/4 of a cup of pure apple juice. And then I'm going to add my apple to it. So I've got here, basically probably about a 1/4 cup of apple. So basically what I'm going for is 1 full cup of a combination of fruit juice and the harder types of fruits. So the other fruits, the soft fruits like the berries, grapes, figs, that doesn't need to be cooked. What I do want to cook is my harder texture fruits. So things like pears, apples, that's pretty much it, actually, the hard fruits. So so now I have about a cup. It's not quite a cup, so I'm going to add a little bit more juice here just to get a full even cup, and that'll let me know how much agar powder I need to add. So I'm just going to add a little touch more. Okay, and yeah, again, this is just the pure organic fruit juice. And you can really get creative here. I just want to show you, I have a little heart-shaped silicone mold. If you wanted to make these, like little heart shapes, that could be really cute. You could especially use like some red juice would be fun, but you can use, grape juice, whatever juice you like to make fun, different, pretty colors too. You can make a few different batches and have different colors and different fruits in them. So now I'm going to put this in my pot. I am going to add just a little pinch of salt. I do like to add just that little touch of salt when I'm cooking fruit because it helps to just create a depth of flavor. It actually helps to create a more balanced flavor. I find just that little bit of salt actually even makes the fruit taste a little sweeter. So that's something I like to do. Now, so with my agar powder ratio, the recipe portion is generally about a teaspoon for this amount of liquid. But if you find that the Jello gets a little too firm for your taste buds, because it does get quite firm that way, you could add a little bit less. I might even use a little bit, slightly less, because my last batch did get very, very firm. So, but you want it firm enough that it's not gonna wiggle apart when you take it out of the mold. But yes, I'm just gonna go slightly less than a teaspoon. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. and then let it simmer for really just a few minutes. Now, if I was using the agar flakes, you're going to see two different products out there that are made with the agar sea vegetable. There's agar powder, like I'm using, which is very quick cooking, easy to prepare. It only takes minutes to cook. That's why I like it. Or you could use the agar flakes. I think I want to say it might be either Eden or Maine Seacoast. I can't remember which brand it is. I think it might be Eden. Has a sea flakes version. Well, now that one you need to, I should say agar sea flakes. That one you actually do need to soak in a little bit of juice before you cook it because it's a little harder. It takes a little longer to break down. So you'll want to soak it for maybe 10 minutes in the juice you're going to cook it in. And then you have to cook it for maybe, 10 minutes or so. It's just not as fast cooking as the powder. So I personally prefer the powder. But so yeah, so that's going to come up to a boil and then I'll lower it to simmer for just a few minutes. Once that's done cooking, actually with the apples in there, you may want to cook it a little bit longer. I'm thinking when it's just fruit juice, but with the apples in there, we want them to cook long enough. So I would say maybe 5 to 7 minutes, really no more than 7 minutes should have those apples soft enough for you. And then we'll just kind of mix in the other fruits. But let's get creative for a moment and think of other fruits we could add in here. You can add chunks of melon. You could add like big cubes of like watermelon and cantaloupe and honeydew. What else besides the pears and the apples? Of course, you could do kind of like a fruit cocktail sort of thing. You could do like sliced peaches. You could do the pears, sliced peaches, maybe green grapes. You could do some cherries in there would be really pretty. And there's also the option of actually blending a fruit canton. This is actually called fruit canton. It's kind of a popular Japanese dessert known as canton, but here we call it Jello, but it's the same type of thing. Sometimes in traditional Japanese versions of this kind of dessert, you might see the use of coconut milk or maybe adzuki beans added instead of fruit and things like that. So a little bit slightly different than the Americanized Jello kind of dessert. But okay, so I've got a good boil going here. I'm going to turn this down to simmer for just, like I said, 5 to 7 minutes. And yeah, so back on the kinds of fruits that we can add and how you can blend it. Let me mention how you can blend it, by the way. So this kind of dessert, just like this, I could literally take this if I wanted just a variation to make it into more of like kind of a fluffy pudding. I could put this into a blender along with some apple juice and then just blend it up. And then it's going to get kind of like more of a pudding texture. So if you decide that, like it's too firm for you or you just want something different, you can blend it. That actually does make a really nice little pudding too. So one of the benefits, by the way, of agar is that it's very high in fiber. So it makes you feel full without eating as much. So, having desserts like this is going to give you that satiety. You're going to feel satiated quicker because it is very high in fiber and fills you up. But when you think about it, it's really just like you're just basically eating fruit and fruit juice. So it's not really caloric here. There's no fat actually in this dessert. So it is kind of some people will use this as almost like, a weight maintenance kind of dessert. So that's just something, just a little FYI. And it's also good for digestion for anyone who, needs a little bit more regularity. It's also helpful for that because of the fiber that's in here. So like anything, you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to have too much of this. So just little tip there. But back to the kinds of fruits we can add. Of course, today we're doing the apples and the grapes and the fresh figs that I thought would be fun. What else could you do? You can do, all the berries, of course, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. If you are watching this and you're living in a more, subtropical or tropical environment, the only types of fruits you don't want to do in a Jello type of preparation are things like pineapple and oranges and things like that, because they're going to be a little more acidic and they actually prevent the proper setting up of the dessert. So that's just a little FYI. But yeah, really other types of fruits like mango would work nicely if you're in a tropical environment, and different fruits. I always recommend just use the type of fruits that grow around you that are native to your area, the climate where you live. All right, so this has been cooking nicely. I don't think it's been quite 5 to 7 minutes, but just for the sake of this show, I want to kind of speed it along. But just know that normally you can just set your timer for about 5 or 7 minutes if you're cooking the apples in there. If you're not, if you're just using softer fruits, then really just a few minutes of cooking is fine. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and add these in. By the way, anyone who's watching the live stream on YouTube, I know I did get some feedback from someone saying that you're not able to add comments. So I'm going to look into the tech side of that today and try to get that figured out this week so that not only can you comment on Facebook, because we're simulcasting, we're live streaming on both Facebook, on Natural Kitchen Cooking School's Facebook page, and on Christine's Natural Kitchen on YouTube live. But I know you're not able to comment on there, so I apologize. I think after it's been posted, then you can go ahead and add comments. And I do tend to check all my comments and try to respond to all of them. So that is another option, but we'll try to get it so that you can comment in real time. Although once I get going with my cooking, it's been a little challenging to like keep up with the comments and do the cooking. So I often just check the comments afterwards anyway. But okay, so we're just gonna turn the heat off here. I'm gonna put all my little different bowls aside here until I decide which one I wanna use. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and into this mixture, I'm gonna add my soft fruits. Probably hard to see. You know what? I'm just gonna pour it right into this clear bowl so that you can see it a little bit better. Again, this is a very mini batch. You know, normally you would make a bigger portion probably, unless you're just cooking for one or two, and in which case, this might be just the right amount. All right, so now, let's put this aside. And yeah, so now I'm just gonna pretty much just stir in my fruits. You don't really have to wait until it cools down. I'm gonna add my grapes. So that was about, I'd say that was about a 1/4 cup of chopped apple, 1/4 cup of sliced grapes, and a 1/4 cup of our fresh figs. This might have been the very first time I bought fresh figs. I know when I traveled before to Italy, I was eating fresh figs there, but I don't think I've actually ever purchased figs, ironically. It's funny from all the fruits that I use. So I just thought that would be fun and pretty. Now, I kind of went overboard on my fruit quantity in here. I just thought, you know, it would be fun to kind of pack in the different fruits. But of course, if you want yours more like, you know, juice than fruit, you can just use less fruit. Maybe just use a 1/4 cup of fruit for this whole batch. That's fine too. All right, but there we go. And of course, you know, depending how much fruit you use, that might change how much agar you need to use. So, you know, you can just, it's something you're going to probably need to experiment with a little bit, but just generally keep that ratio in mind of roughly, you know, slightly less than a teaspoon of agar powder per cup of, you know, either just juice by itself or juice combined with, you know, the amount of fruit you have. So there you go. That's my nice little fruited dessert. You can see that it's just still gonna cool and everything, but it's just kind of a delicious, lovely dessert that you can serve. And of course, if you want to serve it with like some kind of non-dairy, dairy-free topping, there's actually a coconut whipped cream that you can buy from health food stores or whatever kind of whipped topping you want to put on there. That just adds that nice little touch. But I love it just like this too. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little vegetarian and vegan Jello. This is your recipe to start off your week. If you haven't done your meal prep yet, this might be kind of a fun thing to add in there to have, you know, as a snack or a light dessert tonight with your dinner. So I hope this gives you some inspiration. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments. And have a great week. All right. See you soon. See you tomorrow. I'll be back here again at 11 o'clock, 11 a.m. Eastern time on both Christine's Natural Kitchen on YouTube and on Natural Kitchen Cooking School on Facebook. All right, thanks and see you soon. Bye.